Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. We have a brand new NFL mock draft first round for you. I'm really excited to jump into this one, but before I do, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We produce a ton of college football content, NFL content, and also, most importantly, draft content. So hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a like on this video. Jumping into number one with Jacksonville, they are a complete disaster. I'm a fan of the team myself, and it's hard to watch week in, week out. Total disaster. This pick's not going to fix it. Unfortunately, there's a lot to be done with this roster. This very well could be a trade down opportunity. In this one, I'm not going to be doing those trade downs. So with what we have available on the board, I'm actually going to take Aiden Hutchinson. Last time I took Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson in this one. A guy that's a little more polished right now. He's got a great motor. He's a guy that can truly get after the quarterback. He can impact the game in multiple ways. That's exactly what Jacksonville needs. You put him opposite of Josh Allen, and that's a deadly pass rushing duo. I like, what you have for a foundation there on the edge spot. And for me, Aiden Hutchinson could fit in great with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number two, you have the Detroit Lions. And, it's all about getting better in that front seven to me. So I look at a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau being a really, really good fit for Dan Campbell on this Lions team. I'm going to go ahead and select him. I think those first two picks, they are going to be a lock, whether it's the Jags or the Lions for that first pick. I think it's probably going to be an edge rusher. I think there is some consideration for Jacksonville to look at Evan Neal at tackle. However, I think it's very possible that you have the two top edges go off the board right away. Super, super talented. Both have great upside. Kayvon Thibodeau very well could have slightly higher upside because of his overall athleticism and what he can truly bring in that regard. However, I mean, really, really great players back to back at 1 and 2. The Detroit Lions are getting a guy that very well could be, one of the premier edge defenders in the entire NFL in the next couple of seasons. At number 3, we have the Houston Texans. In our last mock, I had them going with the quarterback. I don't feel as confident. I think they're going to maybe give Davis Mills another shot next year, give him a little more of a fair shake, considering, he's not playing with a ton around him. And he has played better than most of the other rookie quarterbacks aside from Mac Jones. He's looked pretty good in his time in Houston. Now, I think that you have to look best player available at this point at a premium position. That's cornerback. Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be the pick. I think he's a great building block for a defense, a true shutdown man-to-man guy. Also has really good ball skills. So to me, that holds a lot of value, holds a lot of weight. And that should be true for this Texans organization. I think that's why they would go with a guy like Derek Stingley at number 3. And then you follow it up with the New York Jets sitting at number 4. I look at the board and I'm saying, there's one guy that can really impact the game in a lot of different ways. And that's Kyle Hamilton. On defense, he is just so special. His ability to cover, his ability to come up in the box and make a tackle, his ability to read the eyes of the quarterback. There's a lot of different things that you have to love about Kyle Hamilton. And, the New York Jets are going to be in need of a safety. Long term, I think they have to get one. Kyle Hamilton can be a true building block for this defense as Robert Saleh kind of, he's looking to create it in his image. I think a guy like Kyle Hamilton could be extremely valuable for a team like the New York Jets. Now you're at number 5. You have the New York Giants, and the New York Giants, I definitely think they have to look at that tackle spot. Andrew Thomas has come around as a player. He's playing better and better as time goes on. Now, I think if you get a guy like Evan Neal, that could be really interesting. To me, I think the New York Giants are in a great position to build up this offensive line. And there's a lot of different things that they can do. Saquon Barkley long-term should have a nice career behind this offensive line, because with that selection, you have two, potential franchise guys. Andrew Thomas is in the works. I'm not sure if he's going to get there, but I believe Evan Neal has that ability. He has the athleticism. He has the polish right now to become that cornerstone of an offensive line. At number 6, you have the Carolina Panthers, and they're in a position where we didn't think they'd be picking 6th in the draft with how they started the season. They've had a lot of issues, a big question mark at quarterback. They made a huge investment in Sam Darnold in that trade with the New York Jets. So I'm kind of looking at it through the scope of where do they go from here? To me, I think it's along that offensive line. Ike Ekwonu is a player that I think makes a ton of sense for this organization. really it's going to come down to, can you protect whoever your next quarterback is, or maybe that quarterback is on the roster currently. Maybe it is Sam Darnold. I don't think it is. However, Ike Ekwonu, a really, really great, a great addition to this offensive line. He's a phenomenal run blocker. He's elite in that regard. Also a good pass protector, but he's so special in the running game that it's hard for Carolina to pass up on a talent like that at number 6. At number 7, you have the New York Jets coming from Seattle. That was a big Jamal Adams trade, and they did not think it would net them a top 10 pick potentially. And that's what it is as it currently stands. And if you are the New York Jets, you definitely have to consider, a lot of positions on defense. They're working on it. They made some splashes in free agency last year to address that side of the ball. And I think you go ahead and select a guy like George Karlaftis, a guy that consistently gets pressure. He's really good against the run as well. And that's what the Jets desperately need at this point. Such a versatile defensive lineman, and he could really help you out in the long term. For the New York Jets, they're trying to improve that pass rush, and they had made some strides to do so. But getting a guy like George Karlaftis could make a ton of sense. So right away, 2 defensive picks in this first round, in particular in the top 7. New York Jets are doing very, very well for themselves in the mock draft. Kyle Hamilton's a special talent. George Karlaftis, huge impact player, especially his freshman year when he got to Purdue. Elite production, also really good production once again this year. Looking at Karlaftis as a guy that could be a staple for this Jets D line. At number 8, you have the New York Giants once again. This is coming in that Justin Fields trade down. And if you look at this one, the New York Giants can do a lot of different things, but I think it's important for them to address that defensive line. And there's an impact guy here that is extremely versatile that I do want to highlight. At the start of the year, he was one that thought, could go in that top 5 right away. He's dropped in the actual rankings, but a really, really special talent, Marvin Leal. He's played everywhere along that defensive line at A&M. He's at the edge spot. He's in the interior, but you can move him. He can get after the quarterback. He's a 3-down lineman. So that's what you're looking at. And this is what you're getting if you are the New York Giants, which you address both trenches with your first couple of picks. To me, that's very, very valuable for a team like the New York Giants. They have decent infrastructure as it currently stands, but making these 2 selections could go a long way in the overall team building outlook. At number 9, we have the Washington football team. And the Washington football team, they are a team that's got, once again, they have some pretty good players on the roster. They just haven't been able to put it together yet. I think they're a quarterback away. I like Taylor Heineke. He's not the long-term option, though. It's Matt Corral. Now, I understand the injury. A lot of people are concerned about that. How's that going to affect his draft stock? But we've seen a full season of tape this past year and what he is. Teams will generally trust the tape, trust what they've seen. And, I don't think that it's going to really affect his draft stock that much. I'm going to have him go to the Washington football team. They're going to get an upgrade at quarterback, and they don't necessarily have to start him year 1 either. They can let him come along with his rehab. I don't know how long the rehab process is going to take for him. It's not going to extend into next season, but maybe if they don't feel he's ready to go week 1 in terms of mentally where he's at, you have some options at quarterback for Washington. At pick 10, you have the Atlanta Falcons. Thought about a quarterback here. Definitely thought about a quarterback considering where their current situation is. I'm not ready to go there yet. I'm not ready at this point in time. There's other critical issues on the roster that I want to address. And there's also some potential to really take it later on in the draft. I'm going to go with David Ojabo, the unsung hero of this Michigan defense. Doesn't get a ton of credit because he's constantly overshadowed by the other big-time prospect in Aiden Hutchinson. I'm going to go with Ojabo here. Atlanta's been desperately seeking pass rushing help for the last couple of seasons. They haven't gotten it, but now they address it with a high draft pick, the 10th overall selection. He's a guy that gets after the quarterback, could force fumbles, really, really talented pass rusher, and one of the most underrated players in the country. David Ojabo to Atlanta, really, really good pairing in my opinion. Now you have 11. You have the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos are in a situation where we don't know where their franchise is heading in the quarterback room. You have the Teddy Bridgewater injury. Drew Lock. We don't know what to make of it. I think they're ready to move on and actually select another quarterback. They're going to take another stab at it. And there's one guy that makes sense to me at this spot. That's Kenny Pickett. Pretty athletic for his size, and a guy that can definitely develop into a franchise quarterback potentially. Is he generational? No, he's not, but he's a quality quarterback. He could develop into a very, very nice starting quarterback, underrated athleticism, good size. And he's a player that you could trust the Denver Broncos to take here. This might not be the direction they want to go. Maybe they don't go quarterback. However, I just feel like this is one of those opportunistic situations where a pretty good quarterback falls to you at number 11. They very well could look at a guy like Sam Howell. I just don't know if he's there yet. I think Kenny Pickett is a better prospect than Sam Howell. That's why I go ahead and I opt for Pickett. At number 12, you have the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings are in a really good position to eventually replace Anthony Barr. He's in his contract season, and there's a really, really talented linebacker that's being a little underrated, in my opinion, for what he brings to a defense. Nakobe Dean is going to be that guy. Super athletic, really, really good against the run, and also is getting better and better in terms of becoming a pass defense linebacker. Nakobe Dean, he's got that sideline to sideline speed, and you put him and Eric Kendricks together, that is a really, really dangerous linebacking pairing. And it's tough. I know they need a corner. We've been down this road where the Vikings have to take a corner at this spot. There's a lot of great options for them in this, this cornerback class. I'm not ready to take it there. I just think Nakobe Dean could be a huge impact player for this defense. They're going to address that corner spot later on. At number 13, we have the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns desperately need another playmaker on that offense in terms of, who's in that receiving room. There's a guy that is a game changer, has game-changing speed, and that is Jameson Williams. We're not exactly sure the future of Baker Mayfield, but getting a guy like Jameson Williams with that game-breaking speed and athleticism is absolutely huge for this Browns team. When you look at it, they have to get faster outside. They have a couple of nice receivers as it currently stands. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a development project. You have Jarvis Landry there currently. You add a guy like Jameson Williams into this group, and you just get that much more dynamic in this offense and can really allow you to do a lot of different things. So Jameson Williams, I like the fit there. At 14, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think this is a great opportunity for the Eagles to go ahead and take a corner. Now, they kind of get their choice of what's currently on the board. We haven't had the big group go, so they're getting on the front side of the corner run that's soon to come. They're going to go ahead and select Ahmad Gardner. Ahmad Gardner is a huge reason why Cincinnati was so great this season. Shutdown guy, doesn't allow the touchdowns. He's just very, very technically sound at that corner spot. I love him going to the Eagles. I think they're going to continue to reshape this defense with the picks that they have. Ahmad Gardner is the first domino to fall on that side of the ball. At 15, we have the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are going to be looking at that wide receiver room. They have Michael Thomas, and they want to make sure that they get another wide receiver. Now, the tough part is maybe they do consider quarterback, but they have Jameis Winston, but I don't know, once again, what's the future there? What's the outlook? We don't know, contract wise, where they're sitting at in terms of what they're going to do. But I see them looking at that wide receiver spot, and Garrett Wilson is super, super talented. He had sat out in the bowl game, but, this is a guy that is tremendously talented. He led that group of Ohio State receivers all season long. He was the go-to guy. Him and Chris Olave and Jackson Smith and Jigba, a tremendous trio that they have. But Garrett Wilson was the true leader of that wide receiver room. I'd like him going to New Orleans, a dynamic receiver that can make things happen after the catch, really good route runner. And him going with Michael Thomas there could make a lot of sense. At pick 16, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, I think they're considering offensive line at this point. Charles Cross, to me, makes a lot of sense for this team. They're definitely looking at that tackle spot long-term. I think Charles Cross could be that long-term option for them. And, for Charles Cross, one of the best pass protectors in the entire nation, super underrated prospect. With him being at Mississippi State, he did not get that much love that he deserved. So I like Charles Cross going to Baltimore. 17, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in desperate need of a quarterback. I think they're going to be willing to take a chance on one. And for me, once again, I think Malik Willis is the fit here. I know there's other quarterbacks that people might consider better than him right now, but I think Malik Willis's upside trumps all of these quarterbacks that are sitting on the board. Super dynamic athlete, lively arm, and he can really make plays happen off schedule. Right now, in terms of where he's at as a passer, he's not as far along as you'd like him to be. However, I mean, that was the same case with Lamar Jackson. They were able to make that work in Baltimore. And, maybe Pittsburgh can kind of cater the offense to Malik Willis the first couple of seasons. So I love the dynamism there. They got a lot of great weapons as well. So what better place to kind of throw a guy into the fire than Pittsburgh? Good wide receivers, good running back, and he can really make a lot of things happen with his legs. At number 18, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders are in a really good position here to shore up that second level of that defense. To me, Devin Lloyd is a big time playmaker, sees the field very, very well. A guy that has great instincts at that linebacker spot, has a good feel for the game overall, true leader on that Utah defense, and he's going to go there with the Raiders. I know the Raiders are going to have to figure out a couple of things. I thought about wide receiver as well. I thought about corner. There's a couple of different ways that they can go, but overall talent wise, I just love what Devin Lloyd can bring to a football team. I think he can be a true leader on that defense and eventually become a Pro Bowl guy for the Raiders. At number 19, we have the Philadelphia Eagles once again, and they have a good position here. I mean, they can look at that offensive line. There's not the tackles that I really want, but I think Kenyon Green makes a ton of sense. Super athletic guy that can get out in space, big mauler. And you look at him, he's a guy you can kind of plug and play. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be improving these trenches as well through the draft. Kenyon Green is going to be the latest example of that. So you go ahead and select him at 19. Philadelphia, they have a lot of different things that they can do with these 3 first-round picks. So they can kind of get creative with the draft. At number 20, you have the Chargers. And the Chargers, they're a tough read here. They're in the situation where you have a wide receiver that very likely will be entering free agency in Mike Williams. You want to get another edge rusher opposite of Joey Bosa that will be super, super consistent. Now, with how the board has kind of fallen, I think they're actually going to look at that wide receiver spot. There's a couple of guys that make some sense. I think Drake London, fit-wise, makes a lot of sense what Mike Williams was. A guy that you can throw it up to, great in contested catch situations. He's 6'5", huge catch radius. And that's very similar to what Mike Williams brought to the table for the Chargers. And you replace him with Drake London on that rookie contract. You get the 4 years and then the 5th year option. I love it for this team. Drake London, great fit wise for the Chargers. At 21, you have the Philadelphia Eagles once again, and they are going to improve up front on the defensive line. And this is a pick that I have not made yet, but I'm pretty excited about what it could bring for this Eagles team. Jordan Davis. Now, he is tremendous 2-down guy. Hopefully he can develop into that 3-down lineman. We'll see at the next level what he can do. But Jordan Davis has improved as a pass rusher, really, really great against the run, can impact the game entirely in that way. So Jordan Davis is the pick for this Eagles team. Now you have 22. That is the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins have an opportunity to take arguably the steal of the draft at this point, Tyler Linderbaum. Just because he's a center, he falls a little bit. I think he could be very, very impactful for this Miami Dolphins team. There was just a play the other day, just on Saturday, where Tyler Linderbaum was 30 yards down the field making blocks. He definitely knows how to get to that second and third level and spring big time runs. That's what he brings to the table. I think Miami can definitely use that. And then later on in the draft, I think they will be looking at that running back spot to kind of complement what that pick just was. At 23 of the New England Patriots, and they are in a position where they love taking edges. They like getting creative up front with that front seven. In particular, I think Kingsley Enagbare, a guy that can truly get after the quarterback, makes a ton of sense for this Patriots roster. I don't know if they're going to have if they're going to be a little hesitant to take a wide receiver, especially with what happened with N'Keal Harry. So they're going to take Enagbare. I think good fit. And this New England Patriot defense is going to continue to get stronger, and they will just manage what they have on offense. Very well could address that later on. At 24, you have the Arizona Cardinals, and I love what fell into their lap. You get into this position where you can take a guy like McDuffie, Elam, or McCreary. And to me, I think that Kaiir Elam probably makes the most sense for them. Super athletic corner, a guy that you can trust on the outside, on the boundaries. So Kaiir Elam is going to be my pick there, because it's really interesting what we're going to see happen with the next two picks. We have the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills are going to take Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie, not the biggest size-wise, but he's a super competitive corner. Really, really great instincts as well. Can feel the eyes of the quarterback, and he just makes a lot of plays all over the field. Athletically, he's not going to really wow you in terms of, what he has size-wise, but I mean, he's a way better, in terms of short area quickness and overall speed than people give him credit for. So Trent McDuffie at 25. Then you come 26 to the Cincinnati Bengals. And once again, we're going to see another corner. Roger McCreary is going to go from Auburn. Lengthy corner, can really get in your face off the press. And Cincinnati is in a good position where, they got to take somebody on defense. Offensively, they're sitting okay. I thought about tackle. That is also a huge need. They definitely need a tackle, but McCreary here, and I'm going to look offensive line in that second round. Joe Burrow gets a ton of pressure, so it's hard not to take a lineman here, but just overall value-wise, I do want to take McCreary for this Bengals team. At number 27, we have the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys are in a position where they could be looking in that secondary again. I don't know exactly what they want to do, if they want to look at that corner spot or in the safety spot, but I think corner is a position that they can definitely touch up. And to me, Martin Emerson or Andrew Booth would have to be the pick. I'm going to go with Andrew Booth Jr. Definitely a longer corner. His arms go on for days. He's sitting at that 6 foot, 6'1" range. So I think for Dallas, it makes a ton of sense for them to go in this direction, continue to build up this defense that's just gotten better week by week, man. I mean, they are just so impressive across the board. Micah Parsons has been great. Trayvon Diggs has been great at generating turnovers. So a lot to be excited about. And if you add a guy like Andrew Booth Jr. into the mix, it's going to be very, very tough to score on this defense. At number 28, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Antonio Brown quit mid-game. Chris Godwin, we have no idea what's going to happen with him. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of question marks that we have about this team. So for me, I'm looking at it through the scope of, we don't know what they're going to have at the receiver room next year. Tyler Johnson might have to step up. Jalen Darden might have to see a little bit more of a role. And I'm looking at that wide receiver spot. Now, there's a couple of guys that make some sense. To me, I'm going to go with Chris Olave. He's a playmaker all over the field, short, intermediate, long passes. It doesn't matter. He's always around. He gets open on every single level. A guy that is a true professional. Once he gets here, he is going to be an impact player right away. I love that for Tampa Bay. I've thought about that tackle spot. I thought about along the defensive line. But with a player of his caliber still being here for their selection, Chris Olave is a great pick. 29, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to need a safety, in my opinion, once they get to this draft. Tyrann Mathieu very likely won't be back. Jaquan Brisker, big-time hitter, really, really good safety from Penn State. I'm going to go ahead and select him. Just with Tyrann Mathieu not being there, they got to be shored up on that back half of that secondary, especially when you make deep postseason runs. You can't be vulnerable back there. Jaquan Brisker could be a true plug-and-play guy. He's ready to go year one. You don't really have to help him along that much. He's just a good impact player right away for this Chiefs defense. At 30, you have the Detroit Lions, and this comes from the LA Rams. And the Detroit Lions have an interesting area here, what they can do, because they have pick 34 coming up. I'm going to go ahead and look at the quarterback spot. Now, I've been mocking a quarterback in the second round for the Lions, but the key for me here, you get that fifth-year option with whichever quarterback you take. Very well could be a guy that sits for a year, and then you still have 4 years left after that. As opposed to if you take a guy in the second round, he's only got the 4 years total rather than the 4+ an option. So I'm going to go ahead. It's a tough decision. I'm going to go ahead and take Desmond Ridder. I think just the dual threat ability could be dynamic in this offense. You have DeAndre Swift. Amon-Ra St. Brown has really come on as of late. And you have TJ Hawkinson. They're building a lot of nice weapons. They're just kind of missing that quarterback to get them over the hump. A lot of close games, but Desmond Ridder is my selection. And now we have the Tennessee Titans. And the Tennessee Titans could be in a position where They're looking at that wide receiver spot. The Julio Jones experiment did not necessarily pan out how they wanted to. So just looking at what is available at the wideout spot, you're getting a true red zone threat here. Treylon Burks, a guy that was a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. I'm going to go ahead and take him at 31. I think it makes a ton of sense with how this offense is constructed. They need a guy that can be a true guy in that red zone for you. Huge catch radius once again. Treylon Burks makes so much sense for this team at 31. And then finally, you come up to the Green Bay Packers. I thought about wide receiver. They're running a little bit thin at this point. I mean, you have Jahan Dotson could be a good pick, but I'm looking at the tackle spot personally. And I think Trevor Penning fits in nicely with Green Bay. You can replace Billy Turner. You'll be getting Bakhtiari back. So Trevor Penning slots in nicely for this Packers offensive line. They'll be ready for when Jordan Love steps in to play his first couple of snaps as a true starter. So Trevor Penning could make a lot of sense for this team. Thanks everybody for tuning into the video. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. Also, please leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section below who your favorite prospect is. I'd love to hear it. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you in our next video.